Hello and welcome to Nintendo Pals Podcast, episode 137. Tonight, I'm joined by the amazing and illustrious, is that a word I can use here? Illustrious Tim, the Nintendo Dad.
I'll just take, cool dude to hang out with, I guess.
Cool dude to hang out with. We're going to be working together to imagine who would fill the roles of the Triforce in other Nintendo series outside of Zelda. We're going to be talking that, plus your community questions. We're doing all of that and more. Well, greetings, fellow Nintendo Pals. My name is Andross, and I'm one of the co-hosts of the Nintendo Pals Podcast, the show all about Nintendo and friendship. And I am typically joined by my fellow Nintendo pal, Micah. However, we're recording this episode. Micah is in the middle of moving. He does not have an internet setup and is, transitioning. He's taking some of his sick leave. We don't pay him for that, but, what do you do? What do you do for that? So instead, we have brought in our good buddy who, what is fourth time coming on? We have Tim, the Nintendo Dad.
Let's count.
Oh, returning guest Tim. Welcome. Thanks for joining, Tim.
Thanks for having me on. Although I'm missing my fellow Metroid Prime brother being on the show, I'll just have to come on again when he's on so we can talk Metroid,
Oh yeah, and I'm glad that you're here to cover for him because we need someone to fill the Triforce for the Metroid series, and I was like, I don't want to do that. That's not my special. I'll offend Micah. You will not though, so that's
I hope
good.
Not. I hope he agrees with my picks.
Well, Tim, just a second here. I like to start every episode here with a random question. And I've been using this fancy random question generator.
Okay.
Let's see here. We've got, what app or website completely changed your life? Have you had a website or app completely change your life?
An app or website that completely changed my life. Wow.
You and I have been around long enough to remember before apps.
I mean, just the invention of them changed my life. So websites changed my life. Can I just, yeah. I mean, if I go all the way back to I took a class here or there, but my friends were full on taking classes. I was part-time, but I was working at Chrysler, as you do when you live in the Motor City, where I'm from. You work in the factory when you come out of high school or something like that. So I went to technical school, then I went to the factory, but the hours I worked allowed me to go hang out with my friends who were going to class during the day. And I would go hang out in the computer labs. So, and colleges had obviously dove into the internet world. So for me, it was the chat rooms, the AOL chat rooms that were the things that
I was going to say, yeah, those original chat rooms were a big deal.
Yes. So that's where I got to find and meet a lot of people in the world beyond my, little world here in the Detroit area that were like-minded, people that were into, some of the things that I was into, like at the time, probably D&D, Nintendo games, PlayStation at the very beginning, just talking about video games overall with people who grew up with that stuff in the same time as me, so yeah, those chat rooms were something else. So that changed my life for sure. It's just internet in general.
Yeah, I'm my answer is going to be kind of building in a similar vein. I think I'm gonna give two website apps that I think have had the most impact on my life. One of those I think will be Discord, and it's for the same reason. It's as an adult, connecting with other people that are in, not only connecting with my friends, like my real life friends, but connecting with brand new people that I've never met before to talk about video games, to talk about Nintendo. And it's kind of facilitated these podcast communities that we're all networking in and are a part of. I would not know you without Discord, Tim. I wouldn't know you without it. But I think earlier than that, I would probably say YouTube. YouTube's probably one of the most impactful websites to exist for a variety of reasons. One, it's completely eliminated for me like all other forms of TV type entertainment, but just the wide access to tutorials and the ability to make things. So I think from a creative standpoint, making stuff, because I've been putting stuff on YouTube since 2010. And like it was just like a creative outlet, a place where I could do filmmaking. It wasn't really filmmaking, but like make things and share
content creation.
Yeah,
you're doing sure.
So both of those are like involved in content creation, which is such a big part of my life at this point.
Yeah,
that's why I'll say that those are life-changing apps.
I would agree with YouTube because that is where I think I want to say, I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's where I was introduced to podcasts, believe it or not. Because when I found out about podcasts, I wasn't on an Apple device, so I wasn't listening to podcasts through Apple's way of doing things, because I think they were the first ones to start podcasts. But eventually, that's how I researched and found the Nintendo dads. When I started, looking for, and I've heard a lot of similar stories where people were like, you know what, I'm into video games, Nintendo, I'm a dad. What other shows are out there like that cover that? And lo and behold, here's the Nintendo dad. So I started listening to them, back in 2016. So that obviously changed my life.
I would say similarly for me. I couldn't think of like a central place, because podcasts you listen to on all these different platforms, but YouTube kind of is a base where that was happening on YouTube long before. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know when podcasts originated, but it was happening more widespread on YouTube before podcasting took off in recent years.
I think it's because of like when I found out about podcasts and I was researching it, came across it, I found that they had their YouTube channel, looked at it there, and then that's when I started looking at, for Android, what podcast apps I could listen to them on. And honestly, I don't even remember which one I ended up on for Android, because it was just, I think they had a whole bunch of them at the time. But it was, I think YouTube was the main one where I was able to find them at. So, and of course, join them on their Facebook page. So Facebook's another one.
Facebook's another one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nobody likes Facebook. I'm just kidding. That was a good question. That was interesting.
That's a good random question.
Reminisce. Well, before we dive into the meat and potatoes of the episode, I gotta do what I do every single episode. Tim, do you know what we're doing here tonight?
We're talking.
We're gonna try to take over the world of Nintendo podcasts. Right. We're gonna try and take over the world.
Question.
I had the AI Chat GPT on as a guest a couple episodes back, and I asked it what we were doing, and it was like, we're going to be talking about Nintendo.
Yes.
I was like, yes, chat. But first, we're going to be trying to take over the world. The Nintendo podcast. We do that through 5-star reviews. This is my 5-star review. Call out, shout out, call to action. Listen, everybody likes to skip ahead of these call to actions, right? Like, don't do that. Don't do that. You haven't left a 5-star review. If you're skipping ahead and you haven't left us a 5-star review, what's wrong with you? Head over to Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Spotify, Audible, or any listening app where you can leave us a 5-star review. If you leave us a 5-star review, we'll give you a shout out on the show at the start of the episode. We got 3 new 5-star reviews this week. We shouted out in the last episode. And yeah, we only accept 5 out of 5. As Camden is pointing out in chat here.
Yes.
Always 5 out of 5. Yep.
Anything less, you can send it to the Nintendo dads. That's fine. We'll take the leftovers.
Take the leftovers. Go leave them a 5-star review too. It's a great show. That show inspired this show to start. So if you leave us 5 stars, leave them 6. That's where we really should be going.
Yes, that's how it works in Justin's world too.
But Tim, I haven't even given you a chance to really talk about what Tim is joining us from the Nintendo Dads, the podcast all about Nintendo and fatherhood. The similar slogan to what we have here. So Tim, why don't you tell for those listening that maybe haven't checked out your show, because I think back when we first started, the Venn diagram between our shows was a circle. But I think as we've grown, we've picked up a bunch of listeners that probably haven't heard of your show before. So
yeah, for sure.
Tell us about it.
I would say that we're probably getting close to being the Nintendo grandpas soon. So that's why.
That was my I called you guys that on my last guest. I felt bad, but I knew
no,
it was
seriously. We've
good spirits.
Been doing it for we're getting close. Was it 9 years now? We're on maybe 10 soon next year, but for 10 years of podcasting, doing Nintendo stuff and talking from a dad's perspective, basically because we grew up on Nintendo stuff just like you guys. And wanted to share it with our kids and share it with the world. So now it's a matter of we're now getting into where our kids are in their teens or moved out, and kind of dealing with life from that perspective, as well as still, when we get dads with the younger kids like yourselves, reminding us back in those days what it was like to be a dad trying a video game. It's still those.
You don't. That's what it's like.
You find ways, right? So that's what we tried to do all through these 10 years, I'll just say, of trying to share our experiences of trying to be gamers while being dads, sharing our experiences with our kids so that we can game with them, but also sharing there's times where we want to game, have time to ourselves to game those, especially those games that you probably shouldn't play in front of your kids. So, but yeah, we're in the Nintendo Dads. We're all over the social medias. You can probably search up Nintendo Dads and then find us wherever you hang out the most. But you can always go to nintendodads.org to see all of our stuff. So, and yeah. I'm just the 4th dad. I call myself
just the 4th dad.
Nintendo Dad number 4.
Tim, you were the last of the hosts to join as a mainline host, but you've been doing it now for how long is it? It's been many years.
I came in 2017 to do back end work because we had the main dads up front. I was helping move to a bigger community and be the community manager late in 2017. And then eventually I joined being a Nintendo dad on the show in late 2018, I think. For sure, 2019. And then
Sam says you're the 3rd dad to me, Tim. You all are. You all are the 3rd dad.
I'm the 3rd strongest dad. So are the others.
Yeah,
Thanks, Sam.
yeah.
So,
You've been you've been on as a main host for a long time. So don't listen to him when he says, "Oh, I'm just the fourth dad." He manages the community and does a ton of work. You guys all do a lot of work over there. So it's a great
the other dads
great
jokingly
community.
tell them I do dictatorship there. I boss them around and stuff.
It's a great community, one that I am proudly a part of. I'm not as active in the Discord as I wish I could be, but I listen to their podcast regularly.
You and I are both in the same boat where we both wish we could be actively involved in both of our communities, but I understand, it takes a lot of effort to run your own community. So
and to be active,
to do your own podcast,
and to be active in. I mean, how many friends we got in the podcasting space? I mean, you guys alone have I don't know how many podcasts to listen to at this point. Between you got Nintendo Dads After Dark, you got Game Pass News. Gosh.
Oh yeah, our own family podcast. Yeah,
Who else am I missing? Well, Retro Logic is part of the family, and then Retro Logic has family podcasts.
They have their own family podcast too. So
podcast family tree over there.
Yep. And we have every now and then, some of the dads get together to cover PlayStation, but we don't have anything officially for PlayStation yet.
And then you also host monthly round
dinner
table.
Well, we call it the table now because we do it twice a month now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You have the table for breakfast, dinner, or whatever time it is
breakfast
where you are.
Table and the dinner table
because it's a worldwide community.
Yes,
it's really cool and really great guys over there. I'm a big fan of their community. Well, Tim, why don't we jump into, speaking of the table, why don't we jump into the first segment of our show here, and that is What Ya Making? So, Tim, this is the segment, a fairly new segment to our show here, and this wasn't here last time you guested on. This is where you can highlight any projects you're working on that you want to highlight, anything you're making or doing in anything.
Okay. I thought it was something you were to ask about something in Jamaica.
No. What ya making? Not what ya making. Great.
Sorry. I had to put in a dad joke. Come on.
So good.
So actually I can answer this in this section here because Sam asked but Tim is on Film Logic. So Film Logic is another thing from the Retro Logic family of podcasts.
Wait. Hold on just a second. I just realized that you being on Film Logic and you being the Nintendo Dad. So Nintendo Dads has Retro Logic as one of their kids. Retro Logic has Film Logic as one of their kids. You're your own grandpa.
Yes. Yes, that's what Sam just said. Tim is his own grandpa, confirmed. Yes.
Oh, I didn't even see that. Sam, oh man. We're on the same wavelength. We're on the same wavelength, Sam.
No, it was I was through the end of last year, I was on it a lot more. I haven't been on a recent episode this year because of time wise. I haven't been able to dedicate enough time to be able to be on their show this year so far. I hope to be back on it because I love talking about movies I've seen or shows I've seen too, but I just haven't had time to watch any of that kind of stuff either. So
right.
But it's mainly Mike and Eston on there talking about films, and then
good old solo something for those listening.
Something.
No,
and then
solo.
Preston will join in on that too. So Preston's been on several times.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple other people that are on there, but they're doing better than me. So because of time wise, so that answers hopefully Sam's question on that. So I'm more of a guest. I make guest appearances on that show for Film Logic. So. But what I've been working on content-wise, what have I been making? Mainly just trying to stream when I can for the Nintendo Dads, streaming some games, especially because Nintendo's been more involved with us. Some ways positive, some ways negative, believe it or not. But it's more on the positive side. So whenever Nintendo comes knocking saying, hey, here's a game, we want to make sure we share that game because they gave us a code for it. So, and that would be Fire Emblem Engage. That's what I've been mainly playing. They did give us Metroid Prime Engage. Metroid Prime Engage. Prime
Prime remastered.
My mind's going all over the place. I did a first look on that, and I think somebody else also did a video of that. But I'll be jumping into that game more so after I'm done with Engage, because I'm still playing it. But that's what I've been working on. In fact, hopefully I'll be able to play a little bit tonight before I shut down. So, but as far as other content goes, I finished a video that we just posted maybe a couple weeks ago, where it was the community saying how they found the Nintendo dads. Because you know how it goes. You need that video to kind of show people who are new to the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, why should I subscribe to this channel, or why should I become a Patreon, or why should I do this or that? We didn't have anything like that, or anything recent like that. So
I made a clip for that. I think did it make it? I don't know if I submitted it.
I don't know. Did you make one for that?
It was a while ago. If I did.
Yeah, there was a lot of videos submitted last year for that, and I think you and Drew talked about doing one, but your time commitment, you guys had a time commitment issue, I think.
Yeah.
So you guys weren't able to submit one.
Sad.
So, but that was a lot of fun to create that. Like you said, content creation is fun, especially when you can find the time to do it.
Yep.
So, as far as anything new goes, I have a lot of ideas, but I just haven't started anything yet. That's about it.
Well, for me,
how about you? What are you working on?
I'm working on a whole bunch of stuff. So my YouTube channel is doing awesome right now. I'm posting shorts up there every weekday. Shorts being 60-second or longer clips, not pictures of my pants. This is, and it's like every short I post, my subscriber count goes up just a little bit more. It's like pick up a handful of subscribers each time, and I'm getting lots of positive feedback, lots of comments that are like, this channel's so underrated. Wow, super underrated. And those always make me happy. I appreciate everybody who does that. It's very positive. But at the same time,
shorts are so fun for sure. It's like,
at the same time, why am I so underrated? Come on, YouTube. These people like it. Show it to more people.
You just wait. There's gonna be that one thing you least suspect that will just blow up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you'll just be prepared for that, because when it blows up, you got to be ready to scale.
Yep.
So,
and that's sort of how I'm building the YouTube channel right now, right?
Right.
So it's very bingeable YouTube channel content. So the videos are all very. I don't have a ton of videos on there, but they are very high quality videos. So hopefully, if it funnels into the channel, they'll be seeing this, and you can just move from one thing to the next. Nice. I think probably a little different than how you guys approach your YouTube channel, where you guys are trying to get out as many things, because your channel is very focused on reviews and game reviews. So you guys are just trying to hit everything and get that in there, so you have a review up as fast as possible. Like, that's all a speed game, a quantity and a speed game. That's just how that type of content works.
Right. Yep. And then we're also looking at, you're doing shorts, we're looking at them. We've toyed around with them, but we're looking at ways to maximize that by taking some of the content, like some of the things that we do in either in our streams or our show when we're recording the podcast, and doing some quick shorts from that. We've toyed around with that, but we're probably something you've already done, but we're looking at ways of making it a scalable process. So that's what we're working on right now. Yeah,
it's an interesting side of things. So I won't like jump too much into this. Maybe if you have time, we can hang around and talk about this in like a post show type thing.
Post show, yes.
But specifically right now, our content manager, Muggles Moo, fantastic content manager.
Hey, I know her.
is working on a video editing down the Pokemon AI Invasion stream, and I am working on the Mario Bros. AI Invasion stream. So hopefully both of those will be ready and coming in the next few weeks. And in addition to that, I've got a whole bunch of stream ideas up and coming. The next one that I'm like pretty excited about trying to do is Pokemon, but I surprise trade my whole team each gym. So it's like randomized Pokemon essentially for Pokemon Scarlet or Violet. I have both, so I can play.
I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah. So I'll probably be giving that one a try. And then I've been working very specifically on shorts content. I made, I've done several streams where it's like speedy challenges, lots of speed running stuff. So excited for all that. Check out the YouTube channel.
I like those 30-second challenges you were doing the other night from your community.
The ones that took 2+ hours to set up per 30-second clip.
Or it was like you had to research some of them. Like, what was the other one? What was one I watched all the way through? It was the challenge was create and publish a Mario course.
Yeah, Mario Maker level.
Mario Maker level. And you were like, I don't think that can be done in 30 seconds. So that was pretty funny.
I did it. That was crazy. So it's like you just have to make the level as fast as possible. Oh yeah, that one was fun. That's great streams over there. So yeah, definitely check out the Twitch channel if you're out there listening and haven't already. Well, that's what I'm making. So why don't we head into the second? I always think of this as not the first segment for some reason because I'm just talking about the stuff I'm working on. The second segment of our show, let's go to the community corner. All right, in the community corner, we ask you to ask us questions, submit questions and topics for us to discuss. So we have our first question here from Presto the Magnificent. What was the best game that came out in 2012?
Yes.
Yes, I'm very prepared for this.
I am so prepared. I'm probably overly prepared because I got 4 of them, one from each system I had in 2012.
Okay, that's fair. Micah comes in here and he's like, I've got 10 games from the GameCube that year. I'm like, Micah, that doesn't know. Pick a favorite. Pick one.
Yes.
All right. What is your? I'll let you go first then. What do you got? You had 4 systems in 2012?
I was very blessed. Yes. So, because it was at a time when I was able to have. For a long time, I've had a Nintendo system for the family, and then I had a PlayStation for usually just me, for the more mature games after the kids have gone to bed. I always love handheld gaming, so I was very blessed in being able to have a 3DS and a PS Vita at the time.
Oh,
so I had a PS3, a 3DS, a PS Vita, and a Wii U.
My cousin had a Vita that I got to play on. That man, yeah, what a time that was.
Yes, it was. And when that question came up, I went and looked and back at the libraries back then. I was like, oh yeah, there were some good games I played on those systems. So that's why I couldn't narrow it down to one.
Yeah,
it was like one for each system I can do.
Yeah.
So, but my first one, I will. I'm afraid this will take away yours, so I'm going to skip this one, wait, and just say, yeah, I agree. So, but I'm going to start with PS3. The game is Journey.
Okay, yeah, Journey, that's a good pick.
Journey blew my mind, just as simple as it was. And some people don't get into games where it's more visual and there's no narration or anything like that. You're making the story based on the visuals and what it's telling you from the visuals. This is that type of game. And one of the things I still want to this day is the scarf that you have in the Journey game, which kind of like the length of that scarf was basically, I think if I remember correctly, your life or kind of like what you learned over your journey. It grew longer and longer, and then you could eventually become, your scarf became, I don't know what word to use, but basically you became a enlightened. So in fact, your color of your whole outfit could change, like eventually white, I think it was, if you got all of the things you needed for the scarf. So I played that a couple times. I think 100%ed it. I don't believe it had at the time a platinum. I don't think platinum was a thing at the time, platinum trophy. But Journey was definitely my favorite on the PS3.
Yeah, that's a good game. I like it. Good pick.
Thank you.
Or what? So you got PS3. You're skipping one for what system are you skipping?
I'm skipping the Wii U one because I think it's probably going to be the same one you have.
It's probably then.
So, right. You want me to go? You want me to do a couple more?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. So that's PS3. Next two are going to be for the handhelds I had: 3DS.
Okay.
Kid Icarus and Uprising. Kid Icarus Uprising.
That was going to be my honorable mention. We have I think we have the same picks.
So, yep. Just that game, as cramped as my hands were playing on the 3DS, that game, I loved that game. Especially, I was all in on all the cards. It's one, I don't have very many regrets when it comes to things I had to get rid of. That is one I regret having to get rid of, that game with all the cards. I had a ton of cards. For that game, I got rid of it to get some money for the next thing, I think. So, because that's, in order for me to afford those other things, I had to kind of sell some of those games or whatever. So I do have one pack of Kid Icarus Uprising cards I have not opened because it came in a magazine a Nintendo Power magazine I didn't open the package for. So, which is really cool.
So you're just going to leave it? You're going to leave it unopened?
It's just unopened.
Yeah,
I could just look at it.
Collector's item there.
I think the Nintendo Power was the second to last Nintendo Power magazine, and it had the Uprising pack in it. But phenomenal game, and I always hope and wish that it does come to the Switch.
I agree. That's a good pick.
And then my PS Vita one is I actually am kind of back and forth on two games. So, but I'll say Gravity Rush is the number one game there it was different mechanics.
2012 was a good year. now that you're mentioning all these games, like, oh yeah, it was a good year.
The character and the mechanics of the game, using gravity and eventually gaining powers as you move through the game, just was different and unique enough for me to, just like I said, that would probably be my number one game for the Vita for sure. My runner-up or honorable mention is Super Stardust Delta, which is a twin stick spherical shooter, which I was actually researching to see if there's anything like it on the Switch, and no, there's not. There was one on the 3DS that was pretty similar, which was Nano Wars, I think it was called, or something like that I really like too. But Gravity Rush is my number one on the Vita. So those were all my best games of 2012 on those systems, and I'll leave the last one, Wii U, for you.
Yeah, my best game that released in 2012, aside Kid Icarus Uprising, which is definitely my favorite 3DS title, Nintendo Land for the Wii U.
Yes,
best game. Yeah, I was like, well, that's it. That's the winner. One of the best games ever made. Really great party game and a great pack-in game with the Wii U. Really showed off the Wii U's hardware and capability of asynchronous gameplay. So, yeah,
most fun game that was used in our house for sure.
Yeah,
in fact, I have it sitting over there. It doesn't work anymore, unfortunately. So I'm hoping to get something I didn't think I would have to get, but one of those DVD cleaners, to see if I can kind of repair the disc.
Put the CD in. Yeah. Oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. So the game itself doesn't work. It's pretty cheap. If you go to like a GameStop, you could probably get a replacement pretty cheap. because it was so. It's the most available Wii U game.
True. I'll keep an eye out for that just in case I don't get it. But we have so many disc games too. It's like it probably wouldn't hurt to have it. So one of those disc repair systems or something.
Presto, thanks so much for asking the question. Best game from 2012. We'll move on to the next question here from I Can't See in Discord, who asks, how does the weapon degradation, is that how you say that? Degradation in Breath of the Wild compare to that of other games that you've played? How do you feel about it, Tim?
I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I can't stand the weapon degradation in Breath of the Wild.
That's how most.
The only thing I did not like in that game.
That's how most people feel about it.
I
am the weird one that likes it.
See, I basically got over it, obviously, when I finally beat the game last year, but I found it more enjoyable when you can repair your weapons, like I could when I played Outer Worlds, because those weapons degrade as well. But if I have the right parts and the right amount of money or currency, I was able to either upgrade the weapon or repair it and keep it going. So if I had a favorite one that I was using, I just made sure I got to a point where I could repair it or stop using it before it blew up or something. That's what I wish Breath of the Wild had, was an ability to repair it with, those monster parts. Even, you collect those monster parts. Why can't I repair my weapon? Or even, be able to get other parts and upgrade. I have a sneaky suspicion that maybe Tears of the Kingdom will allow that, but
it looks like there's some crafting, right?
Yeah,
because they definitely were like building the vehicles. That's like confirmed. I watched the like frame by frame breakdown of the trailer, and they like show Link pulling the tire, and you can see the parts that then he's riding a car. Like
yes,
that appears to be built. So maybe.
Yes.
I agree with you. I think that would be a good offside to the mechanic. Right. One of the reasons that it is in there and why I kind of like it is because it forces you to adapt to using lots of weapons and not just relying on your favorite weapons, which I think tends to happen in games where that isn't present. Right?
That's a good point.
So it makes you try all the weapons, essentially. But I can, like, that has pros and cons, right? Like, I think late game, it's just kind of irritating. Like, okay, I have tried all the weapons, and I just want the ones that are really good to be able to have. Yes. So, yeah. This is how I feel about it. I don't think it's a bad design, because it serves the purpose of making you adapt and learn new weapon types.
Yeah,
how to get good.
Fair. That's a fair point.
But I agree with Tim that I think being able to repair them would be a nice improvement, or to like see the degradation, and that would be nice.
It would, yeah. I think that'd be nice. I mean, now that you point that out, though, too, I did learn about a lot of different weapons that I liked and tried out, and a few that I hung up in the wall of my house because I liked them.
There's no lot, honestly. Like going through and playing it more, because I play that game all the time for my YouTube channel. But every time I'm like, man, this sword's cool looking. They've got like specialized ones for Zora, Gorons, Rito. Like everybody has their like,
right.
They change a lot depending on the region. There's all sorts of interesting stuff you can do with that.
I always loved it when I stumbled upon something I didn't know about and was like, "Oh, what is this sword? Why is it on fire?" Or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like cool.
And you're talking about repairing. I kind of wish you could upgrade the weapons as well.
Yeah.
Because some of them just end up being obsolete in endgame. right?
Yeah.
Because it's just like this is too weak. You can't do much with it. So it'd be nice if you could. There's like forges or something.
Exactly.
Link
Yeah.
could go to and do stuff with.
That's what I was thinking. Like if you had a weapon that you can upgrade, because you can make elixirs with monster parts, why can't you upgrade it? You know, like I like that fire sword. I forget what it's called, but maybe what if you found the base sword and then you crossed it with the
You enchant
fire
it.
lizard tail, and then
It
all
just
of a sudden now you got the
becomes
fire sword.
Minecraft. That's what we're
Yeah.
that's what we're making here. Man.
Yep.
That would actually be pretty fun. That would be pretty cool. Thank you so much for the question. I can't see. Let's move on to the next one here. This comes from AI Purple Riolu, aka Purple Riolu consulted ChatGPT, and then was like, these questions are interesting. I want you guys to answer it. So, the first question is, what are some of the most innovative and creative gameplay mechanics that Nintendo has introduced over the years, and how have they influenced game design in general? This is a big question. This is a big question because Nintendo is typically like the trendsetter for game mechanics. Like they typically come in and do genre defining things. Right. Like look at Mario and platforming, Mario in 3D, Zelda and adventure games, the third person action.
Right.
I mean, yeah, they do a lot with that. Yep. I think the biggest thing for me is Nintendo really builds to their hardware, and they are the masters of that. And that's just from years and years of being in the industry, and from their roots of being a toy company, right? Like they make a thing.
Yes.
And like with the Wii, you see that, right? You see all of the design around the waggle and using the remote.
That's funny.
Pointer.
That's one of the terms I used in my response to this question. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you have a written response.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
I
right.
got three things that I called out. So like you call it the waggle, right? So the Wii just coming out with it was just basically an enhanced GameCube, but they put all their money and effort into the controller, which was so simple. You know, it was just one major button, which was the A button. Then you had 1 and 2. So when you turned it sideways, you could play simple games. But it was the waggle. It was the Wiimote motion of things, to almost 1-for-1 motion to be able to play, and everybody's dream of playing, a lightsaber game and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So just as simple as that.
It's wild. I mean, I think the Wii gets a lot of grief from gamers, from us pro gamers, because it was very much appealing to a casual market. But it really set the stage for a lot with
it did exactly what they wanted to do. It was to reach a wider audience, not just the gamer. Yes, it ticked off a lot of hardcore gamers, who wanted Nintendo to grow up with them, essentially. I was one of them. I wanted Nintendo to grow up with me and give me a hardcore Mario game. So, but you learn that that's Nintendo's Nintendo. They are still going to cater to the same age group that we were when we started playing Nintendo games. So, and that's why I gravitated to also including PlayStation in my, gaming.
Yeah.
But I enjoy Nintendo's innovations over the years for sure, and that's what I look forward to as a gamer. And if whenever I can afford it, I will always have a Nintendo system in my hands. So because of that.
Speaking of in your hands, I think that's another huge point to talk about here. Handheld gaming. Nintendo pioneered handheld gaming.
Yes.
Like they not only like started it and got it like big, they continue to be the dominating force, regardless of the quote underpowered versions of the system. Yes. They just dominate because they know how to do handheld gaming.
Right. Well, I mean, just look at the two systems I mentioned earlier, 3DS and Vita. Everybody was like, Vita's going to kill Nintendo and their handheld, right? And it didn't, because they were just,
Yeah.
it didn't.
Yep.
So as much as, and I liked having both. Again, it was like I could have survived on just having handheld systems if I couldn't have the home consoles too, because both those systems did what I needed it to do.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, Sony didn't see it that way, and they just dropped it.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
I for one was definitely more of a handheld gamer for the Nintendo generations from Super Nintendo till the Wii, and I think it's just because it was less expensive. So that's what
Yes.
that's what my parents got for us.
Yes, exactly.
And that's just, yeah. So it's a lot of great games, and it was all built for that portable gaming hardware, and they designed to that hardware so well. And that's why the Switch is so successful. I mean, people go like, oh, does it really count because it's combining the two markets? Like, yeah, it's the handheld side of it is such a good feature. We were talking earlier, talking about dad life. It's so nice to be able to play the game on the go, and to have something you can play on the couch while other people are using the TV. It's just brilliant design. Yep. Road trips for the kids. The Switch is a lifesaver.
Yes.
Good time.
Yep. And then, like you said, in handheld, they've innovated a lot over the years. And one of the features that I really liked, a lot of people call it a gimmick, but I enjoyed the gimmick. And that was especially shown in Phantom Hourglass on the DS, when you had to basically draw a point on the touchscreen, close your DS, and then it transferred it to the top screen, and you open it back up, and there it is. Yes. That was so cool, to do that. And I think, if I remember correctly, I stumbled upon it because I was like, I did something and I was like, okay, I did it. Now what? And then I was like, okay, I need to take a break. So I closed it to put in sleep mode, and then I did something, came back, and I was like, and it showed it, did its thing. And I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Little stuff like that Nintendo does, for sure.
Yeah. Any other points you want to highlight before we move on to the next question?
Just, you called it out, the Mario 64, the innovation with the controller, controlling, and the game itself, and controlling Mario started the whole joystick thing. So
yeah, they pioneered the 3D gaming. Not everybody successfully moved from 2D to 3D, right? Look at Sonic. All right, look at Sonic the Hedgehog, and the struggles to move to 3D, where it was seamless for Mario. It was seamless for Zelda, and I think just Nintendo knew how to utilize that new tech.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And all right. It's where we are today, thankfully for them.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Next question here, and this is the last question we've got on our list to talk about here. What role does nostalgia play in Nintendo's success, and how has the company balanced appealing its core audience while also attracting new fans? What do you got for this one, Tim?
Nostalgia for us is huge, because we were there for pretty close to the beginning, if not the beginning, of Nintendo's life here in the United States. So, for us, it's the being able to see those franchises we grew up in newer forms, but still holding on to those classics that we, that made us love Nintendo in the first place. For me, Link to the Past, nostalgia is probably going to make Link to the Past my number one game of all time for a very long time. Even Breath of the Wild couldn't take that away or make that be number one. It's up there, don't get me wrong, but for me, A Link to the Past is my number one game of all time, because it's the first game I beat completely, and my first Zelda game and all that kind of stuff, and just a phenomenal game. So the nostalgia plays a key role in that, for sure.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I think nostalgia does play a huge part in Nintendo's success, but at the same time, they handle it tastefully. A lot of modern media plays to the nostalgia now, right? Like, look at all movies and like everything coming out is
reboots and all that
is
kind
a
of stuff,
reboot or sequel to an old movie,
Mhm.
and a lot of times it just feels shoehorned. Like, hey, here it is. Where Nintendo, I feel like, iterates on. They don't do corny callbacks. Like,
That makes sense. Yeah.
there are things that recurring themes and things like Zelda. I think like there's it's a secret to everybody. There's always a character that's going to say something like that, but it's just more tactfully done. The elements are there, but they provide something new, and I think that's a really good thing. And they're not just re-releasing the same game over and over again.
Yeah.
Skyrim.
Right.
Playing to nostalgia there a bit hard. That I think is something Nintendo has pretty avoided doing, just full on remasters. Well, no, that's not true. I'm thinking Super Mario Bros. Comes out on every console.
Yeah.
So
they make their product. They try to make the products available at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Not 100%. Obviously, there's things that we all wish they would put out there, and we're waiting for. But for their main things, they try to make available on the next console or whatever. So
NSO preys on nostalgia. I mean, like the big benefit of that is like, hey, you can play these old games on your Switch.
For sure. I think Nintendo definitely uses nostalgia as well, because what I've learned over the years and seen through myself and listening to others is there's a point where it's Nintendo. Nintendo is you love Nintendo games. Then you get older and you're like, I want something more mature, or I want to do this or that, and Nintendo doesn't provide it. So you move away from Nintendo. Or you move away from games completely, or I've heard some stories about that. And then you start a family. And it's like, you know what? When I was a kid, I loved video games. So I'm going to introduce my kids to video games. What better company to do that with than Nintendo? So you do that. And then you start playing again, and you find that, hey, there's newer versions of these characters I grew up with. I'm going to try those out. And I can play those games I grew up with. I'm going to go back and play those. So Nintendo does very well at that. And like I said earlier, a lot of times some people want Nintendo to grow up with them. But if they did, we wouldn't be able to come back to it and introduce them to our own kids or the next generation if they did that.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think specifically with what you're talking about, that cycle, I think that may be very specific to like your generation, like kids growing up in the 80s 90s.
I'm seeing it now though, even with the kids that are gotten older. Like my own kid, my oldest, she's 20, she's gonna be 28 this year. She started with Nintendo. Got away from it, going to PC games.
Your oldest is 28, Tim?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. I did not realize that you had... That is wild.
Isn't it crazy? So
it's wild because like that's like my age. That's funny.
Right?
I didn't realize that.
Yep. So like she started off playing Nintendo games, got away, went to PC games, PlayStation games, stuff like that, and then has come back to Nintendo games.
Yeah, I was gonna say I've seen that a lot with my generation as well. But I wonder if that will keep happening, because I look at like I've got younger siblings, right? My of all ages, my younger siblings never stopped in the gaming. I never did, because I'm I'm a Nintendo nerd and have always been my whole life.
Right.
But a lot of these kids growing up, like the post 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, they're just now starting into their like early 20s.
Right. Well, that's what I'm seeing. My middle daughter, she's 17 and be 18 this year. Started off with Nintendo games, is expanded out into the PlayStation PC games as well, and not so much. She still plays Nintendo once in a while,
but not as much.
But not as much. So
yeah, I thought that would be slowing down just because of how different gaming is.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's just like if you're just growing into other genres that Nintendo doesn't provide. And like I said, too, it may not just be that they want to try other games. It could just be affordability, going off to college and all that kind of stuff. You might play with, friends and all that and parties and all that kind of stuff, but you may not be able to afford your own devices or anything like that. Or that might not be an issue anymore because of us
college
parents.
Life.
Oh, you're going to college. Here, I'll buy you this PlayStation 5 to take with you to college, or whatever.
Isn't that wild that like kids nowadays are growing up with parents that have been gamers their whole life?
Right.
So it's like totally different than where I grew up. My parents, my parents played games when they were younger, like a little bit. Dad was like on Atari and my parents had the original Nintendo, but most of my growing up memory, I don't remember them playing video games. They weren't gamers.
Right.
My kids are growing up with me as a gamer. Your kids grew up with you being a gamer, at least most of the time. I know you took a break there in the middle, but yeah, it's wild. It's just it's different how cultures change so much. Anyways, this is like we're going off on a crazy tangent here with this question. I want to sort of answer here. I not take up too much time since we're already going kind of late here. But the second half of this question, appealing to core audience while also attracting new fans. And to me, I think Nintendo has done a really good job of making their games accessible to, and especially in recent generations. Like I look at Mario Odyssey as an assist mode. So that's really accessible for new gamers of all ages to learn how to play a 3D game. Because and this is my kids, my wife, like really got into gaming with this generation, right? And I'd say when my wife and I were first married, do 3D gaming all that well at all. Like to control a camera and the character at the same time was tough. But these games are really accessible for that. Mario Odyssey, it kind of does it. You can do both. You can move the camera, but you can it will also move automatically to where you're walking and such. And it sort of eases you in. And I think more than ever, games, not just Nintendo, games across the board have become way less daunting for a newcomer to come in.
I agree.
So I think that's how they attract new fans, and then they tap into their super fans, right?
For
you
sure.
Get enough people hyped for the things that you're making, they're going to share that with the world. And social media, it's been brilliant. This button right here, the picture button, the video record button, and a camera mode in every game. They know what they're doing. This is free marketing. Free marketing that they get from just fans of the series, posting everywhere.
Agreed.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add before we close out here and move to the next segment?
I think I'll leave it at that. I think you made very good points.
All right. Well, with that ends our community corner. Thanks to everybody who submitted questions. Hey, if you're listening out there and you want to submit a question, you can reach us on any of our social media platforms or join up the Discord, where we have great conversations on all this sorts of stuff. Links to all that are in the description of the episode. Let's move on to our next segment here, the PAL topic. In today's PAL topic, we are going to be picking Triforce holders for each of these Nintendo series that are not Zelda. This idea is inspired by our good friends, the Nintendo Pals' good friends over at the Nintendo Cartridge Society, who did an episode this week where they picked Triforce. They picked Triforce wielders using characters from other games. They didn't do it per series. It was done slightly differently. Everybody should go check out that episode. It's a great episode. Mark, Patrick, great guys. Fantastic episode idea. That's why I'm just yoinking it and doing it here, but with our own twist here. So Tim and I are each taking a bunch of Nintendo series and have picked 3 characters from that one series. So if the Triforce existed in this universe, these are the wielders of the Triforce. Does that make sense? So what do we know about the Triforce? Triforce is made up of wisdom, courage, and power. They each embody one of the spirits, the goddesses of Hyrule, and when all formed together, grant the user a wish, unlimited power, or whatever is convenient to the plot of that game.
Good or bad, it's a wish they can do.
If the wielder of the Triforce is corrupt, the pieces of the Triforce pick a vessel and occupy that vessel, that person that most embodies that thing. And so in Zelda, it's typically Ganondorf wielding the Triforce of Power, Link the Triforce of Courage, and Zelda the Triforce of Wisdom. Or the Triforce is its own separate thing somewhere else. Or in Wind Waker, the Triforce of Courage is broken into all these pieces and buried in the ocean. But we're just picking like a person to represent each of those, essentially, from each of these series. So, Tim, I'll let you go first. Pick one of the game series that you have here, and who you picked.
Okay. I'll start in order of the list that you gave me. So, starting with Splatoon.
Good. The random order that I gave you, because it's totally random.
All right. Splatoon. This one I just went with the most fun and most obvious, because if Splatoon 3 were to do a Splatfest, I would put Big Man on Power, Shiver on Courage, and Fry on Wisdom.
It's so obvious. We're gonna get this, right? This has to be a promo during the Tears of the Kingdom release time window, right?
For sure, they need to do this for sure. Yes,
that's a good. This did not occur to me at all. I don't know how it did not occur to me at all, but that's such a good pick.
Those are the 3 I would pick for that. It doesn't really line up with the other picks I've done through the other games, but that was the most fun.
Yeah,
just be like, they're good. They have to do this.
Yeah.
Splatoon 3, you got Tears of the Kingdom coming out. Splatoon 3 is out and they're doing Splatfest. I could see them doing like a Splatfest in April or even May, for Link, for Zelda.
I like it. My first series that I will tap into is Pokemon. This one is tough. So I'm like, well, do I pick like trainer characters, human characters? Do I pick Pokemon? There are a lot of trio Pokemon, legendary trio Pokemon, throughout the series. And I ended up going with the Generation 3 legendaries and their trio. And I have Kyogre for wisdom, Groudon for power, and Rayquaza for courage. A lot of symbolism here that spills over to the Zelda lore that just fits, right? Like,
that makes sense.
Like Ganondorf is typically associated with fire in a lot of the games. He has like fire type stuff going down. Green Rayquaza, and he is a dragon. Sky. It just feels right with Link. That feels right. And then water, I don't know why, is just usually associated with wisdom, right?
Yes.
Yes. There's also says Din is associated with fire. Furore is wind. Yeah. Those pieces all fit. Except for wisdom, but wisdom water just feels right. I don't know. So I felt
Sounds
like
good to me.
I felt like if there's a Pokemon equivalent to Triforce wielders, it's those three among all their legendaries.
I like it. And I envision when I was doing these, I envisioned that if there was any type of crossover game that any of these could possibly fit, I'm sure it'd be kind of fun. Like crossover world type thing where these people end up with the Triforce or the parts of the Triforce.
Yeah, some of these you have to get pretty creative with.
Yeah, it's true, but they'd be fun.
But yeah, it would be super fun. All right, well, hit us up with your next pick for the Triforce.
Sure. Next one is Donkey Kong. This one was also fun, and I figured that the power, and I think the theme of this going forward for my other picks is going to be the bad guy essentially is going to have power.
Mm-hmm.
So King K. Rool is going to have power here in Donkey Kong, and then who ends up with courage and wisdom? Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong. That'd be courage, for Diddy and wisdom for Dixie.
I like it. It's good picks.
And then, because I was toying with the idea of should Donkey Kong have it, and I was like, you know what?
Nah,
no.
He's not even the main character in half those games. So
he can be like the King Hyrule type role.
Yes. Yep. Disrespect to Cranky Kong's wisdom, says Sam.
You know what? And I toyed with that too. That was actually the first thing I wrote down was wisdom was Cranky Kong. But then I was like, no, I'm going to go with Dixie. Because there's a healing. Wisdom has the healing factor, I think, too. So, and I thought Dixie fit that for that.
It's so hard to define. Like, wisdom, I feel like, is the hardest one to define of the three. But that's from the exercise I've been going through here. Because it's like, Zelda is such a different character game to game.
Yeah.
Sometimes damsel of distress, sometimes headstrong, major character, sometimes regal, sometimes normal. It's
that's what makes the story indifferent, right?
It can embody a lot of things, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So my next one, this one's an interesting one. I got Animal Crossing next. So for the Triforce of Wisdom, I picked Isabelle. I feel like that fits. Isabelle is the giver of information. Mm-hmm. That's sort of her. That's her role. She's kind of a guide character and also plays a major role in a lot of the recent games. Mm-hmm. For courage, I'm going with KK Slider. Nice. Because he has always been the stand up to the big industry of music kind of guy. So he's there to fight the power, man. And I don't know. I couldn't really. Nobody else made sense to me. That's like a staple to the series. I struggled with power because I was like, I don't want to put Tom Nook here. I don't want to do it.
Okay.
So I didn't. Tom Nook is not here. Tom Nook gets the Triforce of money through Sam. I put Rover. Rover is the cat character that greets you at the beginning of a lot of games. Very mysterious and seemingly aware that, hey, this is a video game that you're playing. And like a very powerful character in the lore of Animal Crossing, in my mind.
Okay. That makes sense because he could be like that role of that character. I forget the name of the character in Link Between Worlds that resurrected Gandalf and kind of embodied Gandalf. Gandalf, sorry. Ganondorf, sorry. Ganondorf, Gandalf,
Yeah, the wizard with the G, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Could be. I could see Rover as someone who is like extremely powerful. In chat here, Sam suggests Rossetti. That's a good pick. That's a good pick. I don't know, but he doesn't have any power. He's just there.
He's got the helicopter now.
He's like a sage. Rossetti's like the sage. He plays the role of the owl. Anyways, that's my Animal Crossing picks.
Nice. I like how creative that was.
Well, there's not really a villain in Animal Crossing, right? So I can't just like go, oh yeah, let's just throw the villain character in here. People will say Tom Nook's the villain. I heartily disagree. Tom Nook is a hero. He gives you a 0 interest loan that you don't have to pay back anytime soon. I mean,
yep, you can take as much time as you need.
He's a hero. He's a philanthropist that uses his money for good.
Yes.
Anywho.
All right. So mine is Star Fox. My next one is Star Fox. And wisdom I have is Crystal, because actually she's also telepathic. I don't know if in all the games, but I know she is in one of them. And I think wisdom had that characteristic in it as well. Courage, Fox McCloud.
Yeah,
has to be, I think.
I think so.
And then power, I picked Andross. Not you, Andross, but
yeah, I mean, he just fits so perfectly because that's like his whole motive is he just wants to gain more power and conquer everything.
Yes, that one seemed like it was the easiest out of the ones out of the list you gave me, next to Metroid, I think.
Yeah, I think these other ones. Metroid also my pretty easy. My next game, I had struggles with this one. My next series is Kirby. So for the Triforce of Wisdom, I am picking Meta Knight.
Okay.
Meta Knight, I feel like, is a very wise character. He's a very sage-like character that also does battle. And I am completely pulling from the animated series Kirby Right Back at Ya, which I don't believe is canon, but he is the sage character in that show.
Okay.
For the Triforce of Power, I did not go with King DDD. I put Kirby as the Triforce of Power.
Interesting. Okay.
The reason for that is because Kirby just is the ultimate powerful being in this universe. Like in the world of Kirby, like he embodies power.
Yes.
More so than any other thing. And I don't feel like Kirby is a courageous character. I would not describe him as courageous. I would describe him as like happy-go-lucky, like a weapon of mass destruction that is just a happy little guy. You know, like that's just what Kirby is. He's not a Link-like character. He's a very different character. And so for the Link-like character, I'm going to go with, for the Triforce of Courage, Bandana Waddle Dee. Because he stands out. He stands out. He's a courageous Waddle Dee. He's different than the rest of the Waddle Dees. And that's why I think he fits. Those
are great picks. I like that.
Presto's here in chat. If he's listening, I hope you approve of that. Because Presto's a resident Kirby fan. So yep. I think I did good there. I'm pretty proud of thinking outside of the box, putting Kirby in the Triforce of Power.
It keeps everybody on their toes for sure.
Yeah. And King DDD is just King Hyrule, man. I thought about putting him in for wisdom, honestly. But then I was like, they just sort of portray him as this like goofy goofball, you know? But he does have a lot of like in the games, a lot more wisdom than it appears. Yeah.
Going back to your Animal Crossing one, did you see what Maddie Beth said? Isabelle is the villain of Animal Crossing.
The Triforce of Power goes to Isabelle.
Yes. All right. So my next one is Fire Emblem. This one was harder. The Fire Emblem, and the next one, Xenoblade Chronicles, was harder for me because
Fire Emblem's huge, but you have a lot of characters to pick from. Xenoblade's a little more narrowed down, but
I'm just a casual person, a player of these games. Fire Emblem Engage is actually my first time actually getting through a game, a full Fire Emblem game.
That's more than me. I haven't played either.
And I haven't touched any Chronicles games. I own them. I just haven't touched them because they're super long games.
Again, that's more than me.
I did my research.
All right.
Hopefully I do not. Hopefully I don't make anybody mad with my picks. So for Fire Emblem, I picked for Wisdom, Noe from Fire Emblem Awakening. She seemed like an appropriate character that had some, from what I read, some showings of wisdom throughout Awakening. So I picked her there. Courage, I picked Marth. Everybody knows Marth,
Yeah.
I think. And he's been through the first game and several games, and
Yeah,
he's just
yeah.
like a key figure in Fire Emblem.
That's easy casting.
Power, I picked Grima, who is also from Awakening. Grima the Fell Dragon, who successfully took over the world in one version of a future in the Awakening game, I guess. So it was a successful villain essentially, and caused maybe some time travel. Again, I didn't play these games, so I'm guessing at this.
That feels very Ganon-like.
So, but yeah, Grima the Fell Dragon would be the one who would want the power.
Fell dragons are a recurring villain in Fire Emblem series. So I mean, so it
there's a Fell Dragon in my game right now. So
yeah, it fits
and engage
with the Ganondorf meta of reincarnation and like every series would come back and so.
That's why I felt good about that pick.
Yeah,
so
that's a good pick. That's a good pick. I like those. I think those are good. I think we had Sam here in chat. Sam can maybe give his thumbs up.
Yes.
Yeah, there's too many series. I'm looking at the whole list of Nintendo series. Between the two of us, we're doing 12, I think 6 each. Yeah. And I was like, it's wild to me that there's like 12 of these games, 12 of these series.
Okay.
And there are
Robin for Wisdom, Sam says, yeah.
There are a couple that I'm just like, I've never played a game in this series. Fire Emblem and Xenoblade are those couple for me.
Well, when I was searching up Wisdom, so because like Sam said, Robin for Wisdom is basically I was using some keywords like who showed the most wisdom in the Fire Emblem game. That's what came up was Noe.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I thought maybe you'd go with Ike for power just because he's renowned as really strong, but I think the Fell Dragon pick's way better.
Yeah, I thought I would have to go with a Fell Dragon in that one because that one was the most successful Fell Dragon, I guess, from what I read. I went with that one. Grima.
Soren is a good pick for wisdom too. So Robin, Soren. Yeah.
Yep.
And again,
Soren
it's like
for power actually.
It's like different characters because Fire Emblem has these like recurring roles and characters that fit those roles. It fits well, but I think Marth is a good pick for Courage and gosh, I've already forgotten the name of Grima the Fell Dragon.
Yeah.
Wisdom, I think that could just insert wisdom character from each game here because that one's not quite as recurring.
Probably put a divine dragon in there too, so for the wisdom, so any of the divine dragon characters.
All right. So. Well, for me, my next game is the Mario series, Super Mario. For power, Bowser. I think this is an easy pick. For courage, I am picking Luigi because that's sort of his. I mean, he's known as a coward, but like that's sort of his defining character trait is that he overcomes the cowardice.
Yes.
To do the thing.
I like it.
And then for wisdom, I decided to go with Rosalina.
Okay.
Rosalina as like the wisdom character because I just feel like that fits the best.
Okay.
Could have gone with, Bowser, Mario, Peach, but I don't feel like Mario really embodies any piece of the Triforce. I don't think he does. I think he's a support to helping out the Triforce, right? And I think when it comes down to the wire and it's a battle for the true forces of the Mushroom Kingdom, it's Luigi that comes in, steps up to the plate.
All right.
If I'm okay giving wisdom to a villain, maybe Kamek. Yeah, but I do feel like Rosalina fits this really well. Because the regal, the sort of magical, the sort of knowing. Just her character.
Very cool. Did you say the power?
Bowser.
It is Bowser. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So
No,
Bowser,
that one's
Luigi.
that's the easy pick.
All right, Bowser, Luigi, and Rosalina. Gotcha. All right, I missed that. Very cool. And this actually, when we were talking about doing cross between worlds, I think would be the most fun to see, like the Mario franchise crossover to the Legend of Zelda franchise in some crazy Nintendo game that they create or whatever. Or even if it was like what I thought you were originally asking, if they plucked certain characters from different franchises and put them in the Zelda world and they each had a role in it. I thought that would be interesting to do.
Yeah, that's similar to what the Nintendo Cartridge Society did for their Triforce pick. So
gotcha.
If you want that episode, go listen to their show. It's a great show.
All right. So the other one that was hard was Xenoblade Chronicles, because I haven't played any of them. Maybe a little bit of one. I can't remember what it was. So, but anyways, more research on that one. So I went with for wisdom, I went with Mayo from Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
That's the guy with glasses, right?
I'm trying to remember what that character is. Jeez, oh Pete's.
Listen, we consistently upset Xenoblade fans on this show. That's part of the show.
All right. So
no, it's not. That's Taeyeon.
No, that's the lady with the cat ears. So yeah, that's right. I picked her because of wisdom, because what I read was that she's in her 10th year before she dies. I forget what they actually called it, but she, in that game, they only live for so long. They know when they're gonna die. She's in there in the 10th.
She feels very
stage of it.
Yeah, she feels very Zelda-like from the bits I've seen. So
and she seemed like somebody who would be very wise. And actually, from what I read, she grows as well through the story. So I thought that was a very interesting pick. So I went with that one.
That's a good one. It's a good one.
And then I picked,
or it's not. I don't know. I'm not a Xenoblade guy. I don't know.
I tried to pick one from each of the three. By the way, so I'm gonna skip over to power. I picked Melos from Xenoblade 2 because all he wants to do is party, apparently. So that's why I picked him. And I just thought he was a very interesting character. Let's see, Melos. Is he in this list here that I got it from? Just overall characters. Just, I guess his design character, everybody enjoyed the way he looked and the way he talked. The voice actor who played him did very well and stuff like that. And he just seemed like, just his ultimate goal was just to party, I guess. So he just wants the ultimate power just so he can party. So that's why I thought you'd get power. Courage, I picked Shulk. Shulk.
Yeah. This.
So I don't think there's any explanation needed for that one. It's just Shulk.
What's interesting is they in the Xenoblade series, I mean, they have these like all powerful deity type things, and I think in the second game specifically, there's
You're getting raided.
Oh, hey, thank you so much for the raid. It's Fedorable Will recommended a raid to Chats with Cat, I'm assuming. Welcome. Thank you, Chats with Cat. Thank you so much for the raid. Appreciate you.
Sweet.
We're in the middle of recording episode 137 of the Nintendo Pals podcast with special guest Tim from the Nintendo Dads. And we are recasting. We are picking wielders of the Triforce in different Nintendo series.
Yes. So
just finished Xenoblade Chronicles. Let's move to the next game in the series here. I'm skipping one because I don't have all of my things figured out for that one yet. I'm thinking on the fly as we're talking.
Okay.
I'm going to Pikmin next.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of characters in Pikmin. I don't know if you knew this, but there's not a ton of characters. It's a lot of,
out of all the games, that one sounds like it's the toughest one to pick, probably.
So what I am going to do here is I'm putting Olimar for the Triforce of Courage.
Okay.
He's the adventurer that appears in every game in the series, at least in some capacity. And he's an adventurer and also very duty driven because he's just working for his boss to collect items.
Yes.
Feels right. For the Triforce of Wisdom, I'm going to pick Alf, who's the protagonist of the third game.
Okay.
And that's just because he's an engineer. And I was like, smart, wisdom, engineering, and main
Impressive.
character.
I like it.
Then for power, this was hard. I'm going to go with the I hope I'm pronouncing this right. The Plasm Wraith. There is a recurring Wraith character through the series that it's not confirmed that it's the same character, but the Plasm Wraith is the final boss of I was going to say Xenoblade. Pikmin 3, not Xenoblade 3. And it's just this big gold monster. It feels very Calamity Ganon like.
Okay, I like it.
And that's why I'm going with it. And it also has this like weird, almost psychonetic type stuff going on with it. So I don't know. I'm wondering if we're going to see the return of the Wraith in Pikmin 4, and maybe that's what's causing, that blood moon rising effect that happens at nighttime. Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. I like it. Good job.
There you go. What's your next Triforce cast?
All right. The last one I have is Metroid. And I had a lot of fun with this one, too. Hopefully, I don't disappoint Micah in my choices. Or Micah, excuse me.
Mecca. I didn't know he had a horse in the game there.
Micah. So, Micah.
Micah.
Very close. So, all right. So, Metroid. I picked, for Wisdom, I picked Adam Malkovich, who was the commanding officer in the Galactic Federation Force, and then later became an AI.
This is 100% who I would have cast here. Yeah. Adam the AI. Yep.
That's Wisdom. Courage, Samus. I just right off the bat, I had to go with that.
And then you were going to go with Baby Metroid for that one? I missed opportunity.
Oh, geez. I already messed up. In power, I picked Ridley.
Ridley is the Metroid equivalent of Ganondorf. I mean,
just constantly there.
Never dies.
Causing problems.
Never dies. Reincarnates a billion times.
Yes.
Yeah. Those are good picks. That's exactly what I would have picked for all of those.
Yep. Sam says maybe pick a Chozo for Wisdom, maybe a Quiet Robe. That makes sense.
Yeah, you could. But I do feel like Adam plays more of the Wisdom role in the games because he's the guide character. Straight up he
also, spoilers, he gives himself up and dies. I don't think Zelda actually dies, but there's things she does to try to save others, so
yeah.
But Adam doesn't want Samus to die, so he gives up his life in a couple situations. So,
all right. Well, this last one here, Tim, I'm probably gonna need your help with because I'm struggling here. This is one of my favorite series. It is the Wii series, the Wii brand of games, Wii Sports, Wii Party, Wii Play.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I
So there's an easy way we can do this. And then, of course, there's a hard way, which is what you're struggling with.
I'm going the hard way. Yeah, the easy way is it's just whatever me you want to make.
Yeah, the easy way is we do the Metopia thing, and then you create your own friends into those
Metopia
positions.
characters, though, those are those are all. Yeah, wait, no, none of those.
You
are
just
consistent.
create your own. You just put your me friends in those character situations, and that's what you do for the Wii.
Yeah,
version.
so
Sam, put your friends in those situations.
Sam called the only one I could figure out, and that's the Triforce of Power. Is Matt. Matt. Who's always like the final boss in every Wii Sports game.
Matt
the me.
Yes.
There are other characters that appear through the series. I don't know exactly where they would fit. You have Phil, the party host for Wii Party.
Okay.
Monita, the monitor for Nintendo Land. Maybe Monita could be Wisdom?
Okay.
Because she's very informational. Like that's her whole job, is to teach you how to do everything.
Right.
I don't love it, but I feel like that's probably the best I'm going to come up with for a character there. And then I cannot think of who I would put in this role for Courage, the Triforce of Courage across the Wii series.
Maybe that one is just a me.
That one's just
That's
a me.
just you.
That one's just
That's
you.
Just you.
I'm okay doing that for that one. We'll cop out for the Triforce of Courage. Is
Okay.
just me. Woohoo Island is a character. Remember, all of Woohoo Island is what we'll put for that one. Yeah.
Nice.
So that's it. We've cast the Triforce across the Nintendoverse, and had a good time doing it.
Yes. That was fun.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Nintendo Pals Podcast. So thanks so much to everybody who's tuned in, for everybody participating in the live recording here, and for the raid that we received from, I don't want to mess up your name here, Chats with Cat. Thank you so much for that. Tim, where can people find you on the internet?
Sure. You can find me personally anywhere by just putting in Neo Prime. That's Neo like the Matrix, Prime like Optimus 33. I'm everywhere on the internet under that name, or even as a gamer ID usually. But most importantly, you can find me in the Nintendo Dads podcast. You can search Nintendo Dads and any of the major social medias as well, or even your podcast or YouTube or whatever. And you'll find all about the Nintendo Dads there, or just go to nintendodads.org. And you can connect with not just me, but all of the content we have there from all the dads and our content creators. So thank you so much for having me on, Andross. It was a lot of fun. I missed Micah not being here, my Metroid brother. But,
thanks for covering for him.
Thanks for having me on.
These sick days are getting out of hand, Micah. You need to come back. But you can find me on the internet as well. I am at Andross1 on all platforms, YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Twitter. You can find me by looking up Andross1. If you want to follow the show, you can do that by checking out Nintendo Pals on all the social medias. And we're on all the podcast listening apps and YouTube. If you want to check out the video version of the podcast, you can find that on YouTube and also on Spotify. So if you're curious, you've been listening to the audio version, you're like, what do these guys look like? You want us to break your screen a little bit, you can check out the video version of the podcast on those platforms. Break your screen meaning we're so horrifyingly ugly that at least me, not Tim. I feel like me and Micah, not Tim.
My face is made for radio, as they say.
He has a glorious beard, everybody. You gotta come watch the video version so you can check that out. And his cool hats.
Not as good as Seth. Seth.
No,
everybody.
Nobody can compete with.
I cannot compete with.
Nobody can compete with Seth. And we also have a Patreon. Nintendo Pals, NintendoPals.com. Patreon.com/Nintendo Pals. Not the other way around. Patreon.com/Nintendo Pals, where for as little as $3, you can be a part of the fantastic closer that we have to every episode, which is the Patreon shout out, the Patreon Pokey Rap, which we'll close with right now. We gotta rap some Patreon.
You just do the singing. I'll take care of the hard part.
Let's get it on.
We want to be the best that ever was. And shout out our pals over on Patreon.
LPD, Rizzle, Retrologic Day, You Dog Gamer, Slim Tor, Spanish, and Solo Something, Brian Knight, Little Miss 7, and Cosmic.
Catch 'em, gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all. Patreon.
K-Man Katina, Third Strongest Move, Tim the Nintendo Title, and Seth Sturgill, Monkey Thunder, Purple Yoas, Dat Fast John, and Lava Plays 2.
Gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all.
Yeah.
Gotta catch 'em all. Gotta catch 'em all.
Yeah.
Gotta catch 'em all. Patreon. Let's get 150 or more. Yeah, please be a Patreon. Though that is your destiny.
Thank you all so much for listening, and we will talk to you next episode. Bye-bye.